I'm going to wait on that. Welcome in, everybody, to this December 2019 Periscope. There I am. So we are talking about hashtag What's Your Reason this December 2019. And before we enter a new decade, believe it or not, pretty crazy to think about, but welcome to Periscope EDU, where we gather together on the third Thursday of every month to discuss our thoughts around a topic and a hashtag. Again, the hashtag this month is hashtag What's Your Reason? And we'll get into that in a second, but I again want to welcome everyone in to hashtag Periscope EDU, where throughout the day today, myself and some other friends of mine in the education space will share our thoughts around this hashtag. Before we get there, let me just show you this little intro video. So there we go. Periscope EDU, igniting a passion for lots of things, one scope at a time. As you can see, my screen is pretty crazy here today. We have down below hashtag What's Your Reason and the hashtag Periscope EDU. You see our monthly frame there. All voices are welcome. If you want to jump on here and try this live streaming thing, definitely check us out at hashtag Periscope EDU and go ahead and share your thoughts around hashtag What's Your Reason. Also, you see above me, Leader of Learning. That is me. That is my brand and my podcast. You can find more information at leaderoflearning.com. And of course, the podcast can be found anywhere where you can find podcasts, any podcast app, music streaming service, or at the website leaderoflearning.com. Having said all that, what's my reason? All right, hashtag What's Your Reason? So I'm in year 14 as an educator, and I can safely say that my reason has actually changed over the years. And I know that may not sound great. You know, we all get into education for very similar reasons, which usually revolve around, inspiring and educating students and having a passion for working with kids. And I'm not saying that my passion for kids isn't there anymore, but I think it's changed. I've been fortunate enough throughout much of my career to get into positions that are not only leadership positions, but ones that are also more aligned with working with and educating adults rather than students. And not only do I take that role very seriously, but it's allowed me to shift my reason over the years away from just educating students toward educating other educators. And I do that through my brand and through my podcast, but I also do that in my day-to-day work at my school as an instructional leader, an instructional coach. And so I guess the reason I'm sharing that is I believe that's okay. It doesn't make you any less of an educator if you were to say, my focus is really no longer on student learning. It's much more on adult learning, because at the end of the day, that adult learning is supposed to make an impact on student learning and, of course, inspire student growth and achievement. But I think even more importantly, what I really want to say is find your reason, and once you find it, be passionate about it, but don't be afraid to change up that reason every so often. I actually just interviewed someone on the podcast recently, my most recent guest actually, Letizian Humphrey Ballantyne, and I think she'd be okay with me sharing this. She, when we spoke recently, said, I'm looking for something else, something more, some kind of role in education that is outside of the classroom, something that's more suited to, oh, wait, now I can see people's comments. No, now where did they go? All right. So I apologize to anyone watching this live because I can't really see what you're saying. I don't know why. Periscope has been really weird for me for a long time now. Looks like Elizabeth is watching. Thank you so much for that. I'm not sure about anyone else watching live, but if you're not catching this live, hopefully you're catching it on the replay. I'm going to try and respond to comments as they appear here, but I don't know why I can't see them. So I was saying, Letizian, she was a great guest, and so she admitted to me, and she had kind of been putting it out there on Twitter recently that she's just not sure that staying in the classroom is what she wants to continue doing, but she wants to stay in education, and she wants to continue to impact education, and I get that. I think her reason has changed. She still wants to continue to have an impact, but not as a classroom teacher any longer. And so I guess that's my point. The point that I'm trying to make, and I think it's sort of apropos that this is the last scope of the decade, not just of the year, but of the decade. And if you think back, where were you this time last year? Or even better, where were you this time 10 years ago at the beginning of the decade? What was your reason for doing what you were doing, what you wanted to do? For me, all the way back in 2009, I was still a classroom teacher, and so I would absolutely say that my reason for doing what I was doing at that point was to impact students' lives. But in another couple of years after that is when I started to make that shift in terms of my own role and my passion and my desire as an educator to really have more of a reason and a rationale for inspiring adults and learning about adult learning and doing what I could as an instructional leader to push teachers forward rather than just students. I'm still trying to scroll to see these comments. It's just not working. Let me see if I turn my phone the other way. No. Oh well. I'll go back and watch again and see if anybody's leaving any comments. But as I wrap up here, I really just, I guess, wanted to inspire you to not only share your thoughts and reflect on your reason, but also to, what's the word I'm looking for? To convince you, I guess, that it's okay if you change your reason every once in a while. Now, I'm not saying that you should or should not change your reason to say, I just don't want to be in education anymore. That's not for me to decide. But if you do decide that your reason for doing what you're doing is just not there at all anymore, then that's a decision that you have to make as well. So I've come a long way in a decade. In 2009, 10 years ago, I did not have my second master's degree yet, which probably meant that I was not certified or qualified to be a school administrator yet. I certainly had not gone back yet for my doctoral degree, which is still in the works. Stay tuned. Over the next couple of months, you'll probably get some news about that. But I would not be as connected an educator, which I wouldn't have met this awesome group of educators known as Passoscope EDU. So many things have happened over the past 10 years, and really so much of that revolves around this idea of what's your reason, just understanding why you're doing what you're doing. And I caution anyone to not get into something unless you really understand what is your reason. The whole start with why. Simon Sinek's golden circle. The why has got to be like front and center in the middle of everything you do. And then you can worry about how and what and where. And I'm going to leave you with that. Really figuring out your why. That's your reason. For me, again, to wrap up, my reason at this point is to inspire other educators to, in turn, inspire student growth and student achievement. So that's it for me. Normally speaking, I would tell you who's coming after me throughout the day today on Passoscope EDU, but honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't know that anyone has gone on and done a live stream before me yet today, and I'm not sure if anyone will later, but what I will recommend is that you follow along these two hashtags, hashtag PassTheScopeEDU and also hashtag What's Your Reason on Periscope and on Twitter. And maybe you'll see some more scopes like this throughout the day. Maybe they too will give you some inspiration. Thank you so much for watching either live or on the replay. I really appreciate you joining me. And I'd love to hear from you about hashtag What's Your Reason for doing what you do. Thanks so much.